Brihad Mridanga Ki, Gauda Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavalabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Nilamadava ki jai, Shri Radha Giridhari ki jai, Shri Giriraj Govardhana ki jai, Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87. We're on text 26, the prayers of the personified Vedas. That's the chapter title. So text 26. Sad eva manas trivrit tvai vibatya sadamanujat. Sad abhimrishyantya idam atmatayatma vidaha. Nahi vikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Swakritam anupravishtam idam atmataya vasitam. Sad eva manastrivittvai vibhatya saramanujat. Sad abhimirshantya shesham idam atmatayatma vidaha. Nahi vikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Swakritam anupravishtam idam atmataya vasitam. Sad eva manastrivittvai vibhatya saramanujat. Sad abhimrashantya shesham idam atmatayatma vida. Nahi vikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Swakritam anupravishtam idam atmataya vasitam. Please chant. Sariva manastrivittvai vatya saramanujat. Nastrivittvai vibhatya saramanujat. Sad abhimrishantya shesham idam atmatayatma vida. Nahi vikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Sadeva manastrivittvai vibhatya saramanujat. Sarabhimrishantya shesham idam atmatayatma vida. Nahi vikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Skritam anupravishtam idam atmataya vasitam. Vaishnavis. Sadeva manastrivittvai vibhatya saramanujat. Sadabhimrishantya shesham idam atmatayatma vidaha. Evikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Kritam anupravishtam idam atmataya vasitam. Vimrishantya shesham idam atmatayatma vidah. Nahi vikritim tyajanti kanakasya tadatmataya. Sakritam anupravishtam idam atmataya vasitam. Sat, real. Iva, as if. Manaha, the mind and its manifestations. Trivrit, threefold by the modes of material nature. Twayi, in you. Vibhati, appears. Asat, unreal. Amanujat, extending to the human beings. Sat, as real. Abhimrishanti, they consider. Ashesham, entire. Idam, this world. Atmataya, as non-different from the self. Atmavidaha, the knowers of the self. Na, not. He, indeed. Vikritim, the transformations. Tyajanti, reject. Kanakasya, of gold. Tat atmataya, in as much as they are non-different from it. Swa, by himself. Kritam, created. Anupravishtam, and entered. Idam, this. Atmataya, as non-different from himself. Avisitam, ascertained. Translation. The three modes of material nature comprise everything in this world, from the simplest phenomena to the complex human body. Although these phenomena appear real, they are only a false reflection of the spiritual reality, being a superimposition of the mind upon you. Still, those who know the Supreme Self consider the entire material creation to be real, inasmuch as it is non-different from the Self. Capital S, Self. Just as things made of gold are indeed not to be rejected, since their substance is actual gold, so this world is undoubtedly non-different from the Lord, who created it and then entered within it. Nice verse. Purport. In one sense, the visible world is real. Sat, while in another it is not, asat. The substance of this universe is solid fact, being the Lord's external energy. But the forms that Maya imposes on this substance are only temporary. And because material forms are temporary manifestations, those who consider them permanent are in illusion. Impersonalistic scholars, however, misinterpret this division of sat and asat. Denying common sense reality, they declare that not only material form, but also material substance is unreal, and they confuse their own spiritual essence with that of the absolute whole. A Mayavadi philosopher would take the words spoken by the personified Vedas in the preceding prayer, Tri Guna Maya Puman Iti Bidha, as negating any distinction between the Paramatma and the Jiva soul. He would claim that since the Jiva's material embodiment is an ephemeral display of the three modes of nature, when the Jiva's ignorance is destroyed by knowledge, he becomes the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. Bondage, liberation, and the manifest world are all unreal creations of ignorance. In response to such ideas, the Vedas here clarify the factual relationship between sat and asat. In the Shruti literature, we find this statement: Asato dhimano srijyata, mana prajapatim asrijat, prajapati praja asrijat, tad va idam manasyeva paramam pratishtitam, yad idam kimcha. Quote, the supreme mind was originally created from asat. The mind created Prajapati, and Prajapati created all living beings. Thus, mind alone is the ultimate foundation of everything that exists in this world. Although, end quote, although impersonalists might misread this to mean that all manifest existence is based on the unreality of illusion, asat, the apparently contrary use of the word asat in this passage actually refers to the original cause, the Supreme Godhead, because he is transcendental to material existence, sat. The logic of the Vedanta Sutra 2.1.17 corroborates this interpretation, while denying the wrong interpretation of the impersonalists. Asad vyapadeshan neti chain na dharmantarena vakya sheshat. Quote, if one objects that the material world and its source cannot be of one substance because the world has been called unreal, we reply, no, because the statement that Brahman is asat makes sense in terms of his having qualities distinct from those of the creation. Thus, the Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1 declares, Asad va idam agra asit. Quote, in the beginning of this creation, only asat was present. In the opinion of Srila Jiva Goswami, the word adi mana in the passage quoted above refers to the ruler of the aggregate mind of the universe, Lord Aniruddha, who appears as a plenary expansion of Sri Narayana when the latter desires to create. That was that verse where it said the supreme mind was originally created from asat, and the mind created Prajapati. Thus, the mind alone is the ultimate foundation. So, in the opinion of Srila Jiva Goswami, the word Adimana, or rather the supreme mind, that's referring to Lord Aniruddha, who's the deity, the ruler of the aggregate mind of the universe. So expansion of Vishnu actually is the deity of that element, the mind. So it doesn't refer to your mind. This is described in the Maha-Narayana Upanishad 1.4. Sorry, I skipped a sentence. Prajapati is Brahma and the father of all other created beings. Oh, so that's another point. Prajapati is referring to Brahma. So obviously Vishnu manifested Brahma, and Brahma created all living beings. Thus, the mind alone, or in other words, Vishnu, is the ultimate foundation of everything. Okay, so this is described in the Maha-Narayana Upanishad 1.4. Skip the Sanskrit. Quote, "Then Lord Narayana meditated upon another desire of his, and as he pondered, a drop of perspiration fell from his forehead. All the material creations evolved from the fermentation of this drop. Therein, the fiery golden egg of the universe appeared, and within that globe, four-headed Brahma took his birth. When a particular object is manufactured, it appears as a transformation of its ingredient cause, as in the case of jewelry made from gold. Persons who want gold will not reject gold earrings or necklaces, since these items are still gold, despite their modification. True jnanis see in this mundane example an analogy to the different yet not non-different relationship of the Purusha and his emanations, both material and spiritual. Thus, this transcendental knowledge frees them from the bondage of illusion, for they can then see the Lord throughout his creation." Srila Sridhar Swami prays, "Yat satvata sadabhati jagadeta satsvataha sad abhasam satyasmin bhagavantam bhajamatam." Quote, "Let us worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by virtue of whose substantial existence this created world seems to exist perpetually, although it is essentially insubstantial. As the Supersoul, he constitutes the representation of the real within this unreality." Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpadrubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the translation, the three modes of material nature comprise everything in this world, from the simplest phenomena to the complex human body. Although these phenomena appear real, they are only a false reflection of the spiritual reality, being a superimposition of the mind upon you. In the first shloka of the Bhagavatam, Janmadyasya Yato Nwayad Itaratash Chartesh Vabhigya Swarat Tene Brahmahridaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yat Surayaha. Tejo Mari. Sorry, I can't believe I forget the verse. Yeah, so anyways, that third pada of the shloka refers to this point, how the three modes basically appear real, but they're not. So why do they appear real? Because of the actual substance of matter is Krishna. That's the point. Is that when it's quoted here in the purport that the mind alone is the ultimate foundation of everything that exists in this world, as Jiva Goswami later puts, that Adi Manaha, which means the supreme mind, is not referring to anything other than Lord Aniruddha, who's plenary expansion of Narayana. So Krishna expands himself to, kind of be the ruler of this aggregate mind element of the universe. And so from him comes Brahma, and from Brahma comes everything else, all the created beings. Thus the mind alone is the ultimate foundation. That's a question, actually, that is on most people's minds. Well, maybe it's not on their minds, but it comes upon the mind every so often, perhaps. What is the source of this world? What is the source of me? What is the source of everything? People might think like that. Everyone thinks like that if they're human. They're curious about what is the ultimate reality. Is there a God? Stuff like this. And if they do an inductive search, then they come to some impersonal understanding. And here we see that the Shrutis also give that impersonal understanding, but they make sure to claim that the source of that imperson is a person. The source of Brahman is Para-Brahman. So Krishna makes this clear in the Bhagavad Gita in many places. Avyaktam vyaktim apanam, in the 7th chapter, Krishna said 7:24. He says that some people think that I was unmanifest and have now become manifest, taking on this. Here, let me read Prabhupada's translation. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So it's there in the Vedic literature that the topmost realization of the absolute truth is the Bhagavan aspect, is the supreme person. And here we see also there's a little bit of a discussion about these words sat and asat. This is a very important point, actually, because we run into it. When we read Prabhupada's books, we run into this issue often. It's an issue of contextualization. So, for instance, in this text and purport, we get the words sat and asat. Now, we've heard, if we've read Introduction to Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, some of the purports there, then we know that sat means truth, and asat means not truth. So then, Prabhupada defines that sat means the spiritual energy, that which is actually eternal. And asat means that which is temporary, or the material manifestation. Now here we see exactly the opposite meaning, exactly the opposite, where the material world and energy, external energy, is actually called sat. And Krishna, or the spirit, and the spiritual energy are called asat. And that was explained why. It's because sat is referring to the material energy, and in that context, the material energy actually does exist. It is actually of some substance. It's that which we can perceive. It says the substance of this universe is solid fact, being the Lord's external energy. But the forms that Maya imposes on this substance are only temporary. So the very first sentence of the purport says, in one sense, the visible world is real, sat, while in another it is not, asat. So it's contextual. And I heard Keshava Bharati Maharaj say a brilliant point, actually, when we were reading this section in the reading, he mentioned about how the word nirguna and saguna, nirguna means what? No qualities. And saguna means with qualities. So again, in context, these terms can refer both to Krishna and both to the material world. Krishna is sometimes called nirguna, and the impersonalists will misinterpret that and say he's impersonal. What it really means is Krishna does not have material qualities. Nir, it's a prefix. It means no, none, no gunas, no qualities, no material qualities. But then sometimes he's referred to as saguna, with qualities. So that's referring to the personal aspect. So everything has to be understood in context. This takes guidance from a bona fide spiritual master or some devotee. I mean, definitely from a, you have to get some, spiritual master. But I'm saying to understand these books, one has to take shelter of devotees who have heard and have heard the correct understanding, to actually understand what's being said. It's very easy to mess it up. I mean, first time I read this, I didn't understand it for one thing, and then I thought, the mind alone is the ultimate foundation. I was speculating. I was thinking, how is the mind alone, meaning like my mind projects this reality, kind of like what we say, Atmavan Manyateja, that my mind alone is of course the impersonalists take that to the extreme and say that, yeah, it's my mind, Brahman, I'm Brahman, they take it to an extreme that everything is just my imagination. So this is not the correct conception or interpretation. Prabhupada calls the Mayavadis word juggler. They say word jugglery. And I was thinking, Abai actually, he said in the ashram, he said, like, if you look at someone juggling, it's kind of a show. They put on a show. They start playing with words and juggling them just to go, everyone goes, oh, wow. Now, actually, our acharyas also, they don't juggle words in that same way, but they interpret them as they are, according to Siddhanta. So we have to hear from the acharyas. We have to hear from Srila Prabhupada's books. We have to hear from a devotee who's read Srila Prabhupada's books and can teach us what they're actually saying. So one of the other points here is, so anyways, that's just to conclude that previous point, that asat then can mean Krishna. In this purport in text, asat, which usually means not real, actually means Krishna. It just means the opposite of the material existence. So it's contextual. And then I thought this was an interesting point in the last paragraph. When a particular object is manufactured, it appears as a transformation of its ingredient cause, as in the case of jewelry made from gold. Persons who want gold will not reject gold earrings or necklaces, since these items are still gold, despite their modification. True jnanis see in this mundane example an analogy to the different yet non-different relationship of the Purusha and his emanations, both material and spiritual. Thus, this transcendental knowledge frees them from the bondage of illusion, for they can then see the Lord throughout his creation. So that is really an important point, and it's the essence of the whole thing, is that the Lord is present in two ways in the material world. He is the actual ingredient cause of matter. Matter is his energy, and since the energetic and the energy are non-different, then we can actually see that this is the all-pervading feature of Krishna. Now, since they are different, since the energetic and the energy are also different, in the last sentence of the purport it says, so this world is undoubtedly different, Let me start over. So this world is undoubtedly non-different from the Lord who created it and then entered within it. So that's the other important point. He entered within it. Jai Shishi Radha Nilamadava Ki Jai. So he doesn't lose his identity. Even though he's everything, he is still himself as a person. This has been a consistent theme through these prayers, actually. It's amazing how the Vedic literatures, the Upanishads, are actually establishing a Chincha Beta Beta Tattva. If, it's clear if you do the kind of rigorous work of studying it all. Of course, our acharyas have laid it out. And these purports are technical and they're long, but this is a lot simpler than if we didn't have, all these commentaries to read. So, there's this verse in the Brahma Samhita, Eko Pyasau Rachiyatum Jagaranda Kotim Yach Chaktir Asti Jagaranda Chaya Yadanta Andantarasta Paramanu Chayantarastam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Now, what does that say? That says that Krishna enters within every atom. Let me read the translation, because in the purport, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that this verse of the Brahma Samhita actually is the perfect explanation of Achincha Beta Beta Tattva. So let me read this translation from Brahma Samhita. He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe at one and the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore. And in the purport, Bhaktisiddhanta says, by his inconceivable power, he can at will create numberless universes. All the mundane universes owe their origin to the transformation of his external potency. Again, his abode is beyond human conception, since all worlds, limited and spiritual, exist in him, and he resides simultaneously in his fullness and entirety in all the atoms in all the worlds. All pervasiveness is only a localized aspect of the majesty of Krishna, the Lord of all. Though he is all-pervasive, yet in his existence everywhere in a medium shape consists his spiritual lordship beyond human conception. Talking about Paramatma. This argument favors the doctrine of simultaneous, inconceivable distinction and non-distinction, and knocks down the contaminating Mayavad and other allied doctrines. It's a very important verse. Because if Brahman transforms, Brahman cannot transform. This is the Mayavadi's argument against whatever, I don't know. It's not against Vaishnava, because we don't say that Brahman transforms, but they say Brahman transforms. That's not possible. Brahman cannot transform. It's changeless. You can't do that. So therefore, this is not Brahman. This is ignorance. This is called avidya. This is Maya. This is illusion. It's just completely not real. Everything is not real. You are not real. You're Brahman. Because they do not subscribe to the Vivartavad philosophy that there's a transformation of Brahman. There is no such thing as transformation of Brahman. However, Vaishnava philosophers and scholars, our acharyas, say that Brahman does not transform, but his energies transform. The Mayavadis do not accept that there is the energetic and the energies, and that they are different and non-different simultaneously. So although Krishna never transforms, he has infinite energies which do whatever he wants. Parasya Shaktir Vividaiva Shruyate. And they automatically work according to his will. And so this is the important point, is that although the energy is non-different from Krishna, and in one sense, everything, material and spiritual, is Krishna, still, Krishna remains his own person, and he can enter within it. He can enter himself in full within every single atom of the universe. So every single atom of the universe is within every single atom of the universe, in that sense, because everything is within Krishna, and Krishna is within everything. So it just shows that Krishna, it's basically what we're looking at is 9.4 and 9.5 of the Bhagavad Gita. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina, and then the next verse, nachamatstani bhutani pashyame yogamaishram, where Krishna says that everything's within me, but I'm not within everything. And then he says, actually, everything's not within me. Point is, he maintains his separate personality, despite the fact that he's all-pervading and everything is in one sense him. So I'm saying all this because this is the main point of the purport, and then we can't really, one might then question, well, how is that? Well, that's when we say achintya. It's achintya beta beta tattva, because it's inconceivable. There's, that's God. He can do that. But that's about as far as we get in the literatures. There's many examples of the sun and the sunshine, fire and heat and light, like that. So, this is a very nice purport. It's kind of, for me, showing how the Shrutis, although the Mayavads and they use the Shruti, the Upanishads, to prove the impersonal philosophy. Here in the Bhagavatam, if someone's not careful, they might get confused, but we have all these purports from our acharyas that are speaking about how this Shruti is actually proving the personal aspect of God. So it's very nice. We should feel very confident that actually the personality of God is the ultimate aspect of the absolute truth, Bhagavan. So, today's the disappearance day of Sri Madhavendra Puri. So I'm going to transition here to another subject, and then I'll hopefully end on time so we can take questions or comments. Madhavendra Puri is the grand spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose appearance day is coming up on Monday. And he's a very important personality in our lineage for multiple reasons. He's mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if one's read Chaitanya Charitamrita, they know a little bit about Madhavendra Puri's position and a few of his pastimes on this world. And today is the disappearance day, so I thought I'd read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where there's the section in Anchya Lila chapter 8, starting with text 11, where Ramachandra Puri, who was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, is in Jagannath Puri, and there's pastimes that take place there with him. But anyways, the story is retold of Madhavendra Puri's disappearance, so I'd like to read that. So this is Krishnadas Kaviraj. A large quantity of the remnants of food from Lord Jagannath was brought in for distribution. Ramachandra Puri ate sumptuously, and then he wanted to find faults in Jagadananda Pandit. After finishing the meal, Ramachandra Puri requested, "My dear Jagadananda, please listen. You eat the food that is left." With great eagerness, Ramachandra Puri seated Jagadananda Pandit and personally served him prasadam. Encouraging him again and again, Ramachandra Puri fed him sumptuously, but when Jagadananda had washed his hands and mouth, Ramachandra Puri began criticizing him. He said, "I have heard that the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eat more than necessary. Now I have directly seen that this is true. Feeding a sannyasi too much breaks his regulative principles, for when a sannyasi eats too much, his renunciation is destroyed. The characteristic of Ramachandra Puri was that first he would induce someone to eat more than necessary, and then he would criticize him. Formerly, when Madhavendra Puri was at the last stage of his life, Ramachandra Puri came to where he was staying. Madhavendra Puri was chanting the holy name of Krishna, and sometimes he would cry, "Oh, my Lord, I did not get shelter at Mathura." Then Ramachandra Puri was so foolish that he fearlessly dared to instruct his spiritual master. He said, "If you are in full transcendental bliss, you should now remember only Brahman. Why are you crying?" Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, a Brahman realized person is always happy. Nashochati Nakangshati, he neither laments nor aspires for anything. Not knowing why Madhavendra Puri was crying, Ramachandra Puri tried to become his advisor. Thus he committed a great offense, for a disciple should never try to instruct his spiritual master. Translation. Hearing this instruction, Madhavendra Puri, greatly angry, rebuked him by saying, "Get out, you sinful rascal." Purport. Ramachandra Puri could not understand that his spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri, was feeling transcendental separation. His lamentation was not material. Rather, it proceeded from the highest stage of ecstatic love of Krishna. When he was crying in separation, "I could not achieve Krishna. I could not reach Mathura." This was not ordinary material lamentation. Ramachandra Puri was not sufficiently expert to understand the feelings of Madhavendra Puri, but nevertheless he thought himself very advanced. Therefore, regarding Madhavendra Puri's expressions as ordinary material lamentation, he advised him to remember Brahman because he was latently an impersonalist. Madhavendra Puri understood Ramachandra Puri's position as a great fool and therefore immediately rebuked him. Such a reprimand from the spiritual master is certainly for the betterment of the disciple. Important point. Translation. "O my Lord Krishna, I could not reach you, nor could I reach your abode, Mathura. I am dying in my unhappiness, and now this rascal has come to give me more pain. Don't show your face to me. Go anywhere else you like. If I die seeing your face, I shall not achieve the destination of my life. I am dying without achieving the shelter of Krishna, and therefore I am greatly unhappy. Now this condemned foolish rascal has come to instruct me about Brahman." Ramachandra Puri was thus denounced by Madhavendra Puri. Due to his offense, gradually material desire appeared within him. In the purport, which is kind of long, I'd like to read one of the translations from one of Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha, or one of the Bhagavat Sandarbha called Bhakti Sandarbha. Even though one is liberated, this is Jiva Goswami in the purport, even though one is liberated in this life, if one offends the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotees, he falls down in the midst of material desires, of which dry speculation about spiritual realization is one. And this is another quote from Jiva Goswami. Even if one is liberated in this life, he becomes addicted to material desires because of offenses to the Supreme Personality of God and his devotee. This is from another quote from Vishnu Bhakti Chandrodaya. Even liberated souls sometimes fall down due to material desires, but those who fully engage in the devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God are not affected by such desires. So, next text 27. One who is attached to dry speculative knowledge has no relationship with Krishna. His occupation is criticizing Vaishnavas. Thus, he is situated in criticism. Purport. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has explained in his Anubhashya that Ramachandra Puri had a steady desire to criticize others. Impersonalist Mayavadis who have no relationship with Krishna, who cannot take to devotional service, and who simply engage in material arguments to understand Brahman, regard devotional service to Krishna as karma kanda, or fruit of activities. Therefore, they criticize the devotees for engaging in material activities. They think that devotional service is Maya, and that Krishna or Vishnu is also Maya. Therefore, they're called Mayavadis. Such a mentality awakens in a person who is an offender to Krishna and his devotees. So, there's a few more verses that I want to read, but it's a pretty important point that, I'll read the next few verses because it kind of concludes what I want to say. Ishvara Puri, the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, performed service to Madhavendra Puri, cleaning up his stool and urine with his own hand. Ishvara Puri was always chanting the holy names and pastimes of Lord Krishna for Madhavendra Puri to hear. In this way, he helped Madhavendra Puri remember the holy name and pastimes of Lord Krishna at the time of death. Pleased with Ishvara Puri, Madhavendra Puri embraced him and gave him the benediction that he would be a great devotee and lover of Krishna. Thus, Ishvara Puri became like an ocean of ecstatic love for Krishna, whereas Ramachandra Puri became a dry speculator and a critic of everyone else. Ishvara Puri received the blessing of Madhavendra Puri, whereas Ramachandra Puri received a rebuke from him. Therefore, these two persons, Ishvara Puri and Ramachandra Puri, are examples of the objects of a great personality's benediction and punishment. Madhavendra Puri instructed the entire world by presenting these two examples. So really amazing pastime here that if one does not understand the mood or the mission of the spiritual master and gets very close like that, there will be a disturbance. And Krishna is completely sold to his pure devotees. So as we sing every single morning, Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado, Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Nagati, he did not get, if you don't get the spiritual master's mercy, you do not get Krishna's mercy, and vice versa. So this is an example that the goal is always to please the spiritual master, and this Madhavendra Puri exhibited this to instruct us. And then another point in Madhavendra Puri's leaving. His Divine Grace Madhavendra Puri, the spiritual master of the entire world, thus distributed ecstatic love for Krishna. While passing away from the material world, he chanted the following verse. Ai dina dayardra nata he, matura nata kadava lokshise, hridayam tvada lokakataram, dayata brahmyati kim karom yaham. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? So let me read the next few verses. In this verse, Madhavendra Puri teaches how to achieve ecstatic love for Krishna. By feeling separation from Krishna, one becomes spiritually situated. Madhavendra Puri sowed the seed of ecstatic love for Krishna within this material world and then departed. That seed later became a great tree in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have incidentally described the passing away of Madhavendra Puri. Anyone who hears this must be considered very fortunate. Congratulations, you're very fortunate. So that verse, it says late in other places in this Chaitanya Charitamrita that only 3 people actually can know its meaning. Srimati Radharani, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Madhavendra Puri. Shri Radha Nila Madhava Ki Jai. So on this day, we would like to pray to Sri Madhavendra Puri to bless us with the spiritual intelligence to not commit offenses against the devotees or the Lord, especially the spiritual master, so that we can be benedicted like Ishvara Puri to obtain and distribute love of God, and not like Ramachandra Puri, who basically was infected with Mayavad and steady criticism of devotees. Okay, any questions or comments? Murari Vallabha Prabhu.
Very nice class, Prabhu. When we chant the name of Ramchandra Puri or we chant the name of Ishvara Puri, which is more potent? Another thing, when we say milk can be converted into yogurt, but yogurt cannot be converted into back to milk. So from asad, you can come to sad. Means many things, energy of the Lord cannot become Lord. So there is a difference between the energy and the energetic. Energetic can produce energy, like sun can produce sun rays, but sun rays cannot become sun. So most of the time when we compare this, you cannot go reverse in that way. Yogurt cannot be converted into milk bag.
Yeah, that's a good point. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. There is this distinction given that there's the supreme eternal living entity and there's everyone else is an eternal living entity. But one is supreme and one is not supreme. So yeah, there's a source, and there's basically the relationship is one of the servant and master. Of course we understand that the living entity is eternal. So when we say source, we're not talking about a chronological point in time where the living entity was created. We're just referring to a way to understand the relationship. We say Balaram is Krishna's second expansion, but there was never a time, because in the spiritual world there is no time, that Balaram emanated from Krishna. There's never a time like that. He was always there. But as the relationship is, we say he's the second expansion. So similarly, the living entities are eternal, but the very characteristic trait is that we are infinitesimal. Krishna is supremely infinite. We are servant. He is master. So Krishna is the ingredient cause in everyone and everything, but that ingredient cause that transformation of the energy cannot become the ingredient cause, so to speak. And that's a very important point in understanding this Achincha Bheda Tattva. Thank you. Sarvabhauma Prabhu. Oh, did someone else have something? Okay, Sarvabhauma Prabhu.
Just a comment to that story of Ramachandra Puri and Ishvara Puri. I think that's very good for devotees that do intimate service for their spiritual master, so they don't get too familiar. And also, several servants of Prabhupada that were Sanskrit scholars had trouble with faith in Prabhupada because somehow their knowledge, they thought that they could know more than Prabhupada in certain verses or certain interpretations. They didn't agree. And so I think that story you read was very good for any devotee, but when one does some kind of intellectual work or close, intimate service, it's easier to see the spiritual master in the wrong way.
That's a great point, Prabhu, and I'm glad you said it, because now I want to read something briefly, of course, because we're out of time, but it's along these lines of the relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master, from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his Amritavani, he basically says that we can realize the absolute truth only when we take shelter of a spiritual master and serve Krishna under his guidance. Sincere disciples should be completely devoted to their guru. They should know their spiritual master to be as good as God and the only object of their love and devotion. The spiritual master is my eternal master, and I am his eternal servant. This is how a disciple thinks. Service to the spiritual master is a disciple's life, ornament, and means of survival. Disciples do not know anything except their spiritual master. They always think of their spiritual master while eating, sleeping, dreaming, and serving. They are fully convinced that the spiritual master is the fully independent personality of Godhead. A sincere disciple has the following mentality. Quote, "Even if my spiritual master does not accept service from such an unqualified person as myself, I will always be prepared to render unalloyed service at his feet with body, mind, and words. If he kicks me, I will think it is because of my incompetence. His kick will come because of my faults. He is always right. May temporary sense desires not distract me from his service even for a moment. My only prayer is that my spiritual master mercifully accepts my service. I pray never to fall into bad association or to fall away from his lotus feet. My only solace is that my spiritual master is more merciful to unqualified persons like me. With a desire to achieve his causeless mercy, I will become greedier for his service." It was very nice, I thought, and then, Prabhupada, in Iskcon, we have Diksha Gurus, and the overarching Shiksha Guru for all members of Iskcon is Srila Prabhupada. So we can dedicate our lives to Srila Prabhupada and his mood and mission. And one of Prabhupada's main inspirations was Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary to Bhagavad Gita 2:41, Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana. This verse is where Krishna says that one-pointed, the intelligence of one that's many-branched is irresolute. Basically, to have one-pointed focus and attention. And so this is Vishwanath's commentary to that verse that Prabhupada was so inspired by. He said it himself, that this actually was the motivating force for him to come to America in the first place and start what he did. My spiritual master's instructions are my sadhana and my life, both in the beginning stages of bhakti as well as in bhakti's perfectional stage. I desire only to follow his instructions. I accept nothing else as my life's work, even in dreams. Whether I am happy or distressed, whether the material world remains or is destroyed, I do not care. There is no loss for me. I simply must carry out the orders of my spiritual master. So that one-pointed focus Krishna speaks about in the Gita, Vishwanath saying that this is how the disciple thinks of the Guru's instructions. And that is what we are following the footsteps of in Iskcon. And so thank you for bringing up the point. It's the essence of bhakti. It's getting pretty late. Anything else? Okay, Radha Krishna Prabhu? Oh, Thakur Haridas Prabhu. Who else? Prana Karuna Prabhu. Oh.
Thank you very much. I was wondering if you had any more insight into the aggregate mind of the universe. You know, I'm thinking of how Kshirodakashayi Vishnu expands, you know, in the hearts of all living entities and in all the atoms. You know, and the example is given how just like the jiva soul's consciousness pervades the body, how, you know, the universal soul consciousness pervades the universe. So I'm just wondering if you have any more information, any more knowledge about the universal mind, the aggregate mind. Is it, the universe has a mind separate from that, or, you know, it's not consisting of all the different minds of the living entities. It's
He's the ruler of that element in aggregate. So in the Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, if I'm not mistaken, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, Shiva says something. There's a point about this. I don't know if I'll do justice to it now. I'd have to find it, but yeah, there's a point about this actually. Here it is. She was praying to Aniruddha, specifically in some of these prayers actually, and I'm not going to find it. I'll look for you. I'll look afterwards because Prabhupada talks about it, Lord Shiva talks about it a little bit, but essentially it's like it's a Sankhya yoga thing. It's like there's the ruler, there's deities for every element. So Soma, actually Chandra, is the deity for the mind. But above that, there's actually Vishnu's incarnations. So Prajumna is intelligence, Aniruddha is mind, Sankarshan is false ego, and Vasudeva is pure consciousness. That's given, I don't know if it's in the third canto or fourth canto. I'd have to look for it. But there's a little more information given, but not much. How that works, I'm not so sure. At least off the top of my head. I'd have to look at it myself. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Madhavendra Puri ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha paritanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha, Anantaguri Vaishnavendra ki jai.